Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please rise and remove your hats as we honor the United States of America with the playing of our national anthem. Play ball. Defensively, in left field, John Schroeder. In center field, Marco Polizzi. In right field, Kyle Boylston.
Off possibly the best week of baseball in a long time. The Panthers look for their second rivalry win in as many weeks, knocking off the Hurricanes in dramatic fashion. Now, the Panthers hit the road, a little jaunt up I-95 to Boca Raton to take on the Owls of Florida Atlantic. These teams have already met a few times this year. FAU took the last couple, Panthers took the first, so they look for the midweek split with their former conference foe and still very much current rival, FIU, FAU. One final time in 2025. Happy to have you along for the ride, everyone. Corey Brooks, Kevin Barral with you. Kevin, these games, always entertaining. They will follow a different script more often than not. You get to that entertainment in very different fashions, but they tend to be close and dramatic in the final stages.
Yeah, at this point of the season, midweeks don't mean much, but when it's FIU and FAU, two teams who, this is the rivalry game for these two squads, and I think it just means a little bit more for both sides, no matter, what time of the year you're in, where you're playing. These are two teams that need some wins. FIU riding off momentum of beating Western Kentucky, number 17 Western Kentucky, and then FAU losing 2 out of 3 in much need of more of a get-back win. So definitely a big matchup here for these two teams, and look forward to it.
A important one for both teams, underscoring to your point. Yes, this one doesn't count in the standings, but there's always bragging rights on the line whenever these two get together. And then, after that, you figure out the rest. But momentum, just as important for these two squads, and especially with the postseason right around the corner. We'll get it going as Nick Wimberly takes the hill for Florida Atlantic. 6 2/3 on the year. The ERA is really good at 2.70. Has struck out 9 while walking 7. So not a ton of work on the year for Nick, but hey, if you're pitching to a sub-3 at this level, you're doing a lot of things very, very well.
Exactly. It's been a lot of relief appearances for Wembley, and even not, it's just been waning spurts. So similar to what we're going to see on the other side for FIU with Ryan Ryerson, it's going to be a bullpen year for the Owls as it is for FIU. And you really got to get it going early on. Wembley has had some really nice, those one-inning spurts have been good. Against CCF, didn't allow a hit, didn't allow a run, got it an inning, and struck out 5 in the start against Bucknell and an appearance, if you want to say, in 2 innings. So we'll see what happens.
First pitch into Hector Candelas is ball 1. 6:35 first pitch here from the FAU Baseball Stadium in Boca Raton.
And Candelas, someone who hasn't led off for FIU all season long, and that's with obviously Barral out this.
Barral getting the day off today. And so Hector Candelas does make that leadoff debut. A very impactful last plate appearance for Hector Candelas. a pinch hit in the 10th against Western Kentucky. He wears a baseball and eventually comes around to score on the Kashawn Frett walk-off. Candelas at 3-0, and he may be closing in on another free pass.
Yeah, it was back-to-back pinch hit appearances. First Hector Candelas and then Albert Serrano, who's also in the lineup for FIU. So both of them got hit by a pitch. So definitely big, big time for them. And now they get to start here in Boca Raton.
Earning the opportunity. 3 balls, 1 strike now to Hector Candelas. That's one way to earn your spot in the opening 9. Come off the bench and become one with the baseball. Candelas does already have a hit this year against Florida Atlantic, though most guys do from 3-0 to 3-2. First batter of the day receives the payoff pitch. 3-2 to Candelas. Will require another. It's a 7-pitch at bat to begin the day. And when you're hitting leadoff, this is exactly what you want to do. We'll let everyone in the dugout see what the opposing pitcher has. This is Candelas understanding the assignment as the leadoff guy.
Exactly. That's probably a big reason why they put him there, too. And he has some speed as well, so you'll always take that with your leadoff hitter.
Payoff one more time. How about an 8-pitch plate appearance for Hector Candelas?
And one interesting thing with Hector, and probably why they also put him there in that leadoff spot too, is the power that he provides, something that West gave you, that leadoff spot all year, and then when Alex Ulloa went in there as well, he gave you a lot of that power as well. And you never know what could happen here with a full count.
The 8th pitch gives way to a 9th. The second that Hector Candelas got to Miami and became a part of this roster, the first thing this coaching staff noticed about him was his ability to have quality at-bats. QAB is a statistic. Basically means that you get a hit, or if you made an out, were you at least productive in some fashion. Candelas getting a 9th pitch, the definition of a QAB to begin this game. And to boot, it's a walk. 9 pitches and an opening base runner for the Panthers. Outstanding work by Hector Candelas.
Couldn't have asked for a better first at bat, and you're setting up Kashawn Frett with a runner on. And I mean, after this, after the big AB he's coming off of, and even not just the big AB, the big week he's coming off of, with that Western Kentucky series, Miami in there too. He's looking to cash in and keep it going.
The home run leader in Conference USA, one of the best in America, goes after the first pitch he sees, sends it straight back for a foul.
Already 17 home runs for Fred, which is a career high for him here at FIU in his 2nd season. It's just about the strikeouts with Kish. It's, he recently, actually, this past weekend, he actually worked great at bats, and he was talking about it to you guys on ESPN Plus, just how much he's been able to learn from just that last AB that Barral took before his walk-off and what he was able to take away. And that's something that it seems like he's really matured with, throughout his time here at FIU.
And to that exact point, Candelas sees the 9 pitches, so that's quality data for Kashawn Frett. Aiming to pull that one 330 down the left field line. He goes through it. Behind Frett, we'll see Austin Deering, Andrew Ildefonso, Alex Ulloa, Mark Hirsch, Albert Serrano, Gary Valentin, and Adonis Velez. The opening 9 for the Panthers here at Florida Atlantic.
And one thing that the hitters really have noticed is just how tough it is to hit.
Got him looking. Wimberley's first K today. So nary a ball put in play through the first 2 plate appearances. And let's see what Austin Deering can do.
One thing that players were saying right before Kish struck out was how tough it is to hit in this ballpark, especially at night. Similar to what FIU is at night, it's a tough place to hit. The ball's going to die right at the warning track with the wind. So definitely something to keep an eye out. But with Deering, someone who hit a home run here last year for FIU.
Has 3 hits against Florida Atlantic this year, does Austin Deering. And now the 3rd hitter of the game steps in for FIU with Hector Candelas at first. 0-0 here in our opening half. Deering cracks it over to left. Schroeder a few steps over and makes the play for out number 2. We got to look at John Schroeder in left. Marshall Lipsy's out in center. Kyle Boylston in right, the outfield for Florida Atlantic. The infield from left to right is Nick Romano, Brandon LaRue, John Martinez, and Jake Millen. Dylan LaPointe is doing the catching today for Nick Wimberly. And Andrew Ildefonso steps in for the Panthers.
Ildefonso is someone who's really worked his way through this, through this roster. Someone who came in as a two-way player, originally a pitcher, wanted to hit, and really has been working his way, into that lineup. Finally found his way into it this season as a redshirt freshman.
A lot of guys can go their entire career without having a triple. Andrew Ildefonso has one in his first year active with this FIU team, and it came against FAU.
Exactly, and he has some nice power too, which is huge, and that's a big reason why he's where he is in the lineup at that cleanup spot.
He also has a home run against FAU. To your point, the power has been on display. And the former, at one time, maybe PO, pitcher only, now very much not.
And he hasn't pitched too much. He actually hasn't pitched at all in conference play, if not very little. But he pitched early on for this FIU team in the non-con, and he was huge for them, just eating up some innings.
Pop throw down to second, in time and online. LaPointe fires one down, and just like that, we'll go to the bottom half. Scoreless in Boca. FAU, they're getting their hacks on the other side.
Fans, whenever the Owls hit a home run this season, remember to stand in your seat for the t-shirt cause brought to you by the man with the limit injury attorney. Ladies and gentlemen, please be alert for foul balls being thrown back. Please return all foul balls to the marking table for a special prize.
The last one to do is
Fans tonight, be sure to stay tuned into the game for ballpark bingo. To the marketing table with their bingo card completed will win an FAU prize pack. Make sure to watch the game carefully. Bingo cards are being distributed.
Off we go to the bottom of the first after a scoreless opener. Ryan Ryerson heads to the hill. He will make his fourth appearance as an FIU Panther. 3/4 of them coming against familiar foes for FIU, Jacksonville State, and then the Hurricanes, and now here against Florida Atlantic. That appearance against Jack State was a really good one. 1 inning pitch, no hit allowed. Now Ryan Ryerson returns, and he'll go against Marshall Lipsy, who has been outstanding in this series. Lipsy flashes bunt and watches strike one.
Yeah, Ryerson, joined this program pretty early on in the Rich Witten era in 2022, I want to say, and just has been out. Or actually, I'm sorry, 2023 he joined this program. was out 2024, and now finally able to, you know, help this FIU team out with just filling in some innings and already made 3 appearances.
He puts ball 1 in the dirt. So 1 ball, 1 strike to Marshall Lipsy here in a scoreless bottom of the first. Lipsy steers it into foul territory, out of play down the right field line. Ryan Ryerson was in the bullpen at the end of that last game against Western Kentucky. So was available as an option for CUSA competition, but then Keyshawn Frett ended the game, and Ryan Ryerson's services were not needed against his former coach, who's now the head man in Bowling Green. This time steered foul and out of play down the left field line. So 1 right, 1 left for Lipsy, and just the count staying at 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And this is an FIU team that's really aggressive when it comes to pitching. They're going to try to get ahead of the count. They're going to try to strike you out, which is a big reason why they lead Conference USA in strikeouts. But on the downside,
Lipsy choked up on that one, gets the slow roller to Ryerson, who throws over in time to Austin Deering for out number 1. And Lipsy just kind of looking back, going, really?
yeah, that was close.
And so John Martinez picks up the bat for Florida Atlantic. Behind him, we'll see John Schroeder, Brando LaRue, Jake Millen, Dylan LaPointe, Nick Romano, Carter Brady, and Kyle Boylston, the opening 9 for the Owls of Florida Atlantic. Ryan Ryerson, longest he's gone is the 1 inning. 2 of the first, and only 3 appearances he's had to this point. Let's see if FIU wants to stretch him out a little bit here today in a midweek with a monumental trip on the horizon. Headed to Dallas to take on the reigning champs. In play to the shortstop, Valentin. Plenty of arm strength, out number 2. So a pair of ground balls, 1 to Ryerson, 1 to Valentin, and 2 down. Let's fill out the rest of that defense here for the visiting Panthers. The outfield from left to right, Keyshawn Frett, Albert Serrano returning to the opening 9, and Hector Candelas in right. Infield that same direction, largely the same as it was, with 1 exception. Adonis Velez at third, Ulloa at second, Valentin at short. Those are the same. Austin Deering, though, comes in from the grass and plays first base, with Mark Hirsch doing the catching for Ryan Ryerson. Ryerson gets the swinging strike of Schroeder.
Yeah, and with Javi Crespo out for a 2nd straight game, he had to be scratched from the lineup in that first game against the Hill. That last game, the series finale against the Hilltoppers, they put Valentin at 3rd, and they put Velez at short. They decided to make that swap there. It wasn't really too well for Valentin. Really just looked a little bit outmatched at that position. Looked like he was struggling. Decided to put him at a position where he won a Gold Glove at the JUCO level. So might as well throw him in there and give Velez some, who I would say has better arm strength at 3rd.
1-1. Ryerson drops that right off the table to make it 1 ball, 2 strikes. There's a lot of guys who have that shortstop pedigree. All 3 of those infielders you just mentioned, Ulloa, Valentin, Velez, they can all do it. Adonis was the starting shortstop for the Puerto Rican national team, so certainly has that pedigree. Now takes over at the hot corner. Ryerson gets the swing and the miss. It's picked up by Hirsch, who throws down, and in plenty of time. So a strikeout and a 2-3 putout for out number 3. Ryan Ryerson does the job and then some. His best inning of work, quite possibly as a Panther, sending down Florida Atlantic. 1-2-3, off to the 2nd we go. No score in Boca.
The Cabana seating areas are free of charge and open to all season ticket holders, Paradise Club, and Diamond Club members. For more information on how to purchase season tickets or how to become a Paradise Club member, please visit FAUtickets.com or call 1-866-FAU-OWL.
Well, we were wondering if Ryan Ryerson might get some extra time on the hill for FIU, and sending the Owls down 1-2-3 in 11 pitches is certainly making a strong case for it. But first things first, we'll see Andrew Ildefonso go right back to work. He was down 0-2 when Candelas was caught stealing, so Ildy gets a fresh at-bat here for FIU. And right back down to 0-1 on a swinging strike.
And it does seem like Ryerson may get that other inning of work. Just first, you need length. You need guys to fill out innings. You need to save certain guys for the conference, play and during the weekend.
Ildefonso lifts it foul down that right field line, possibly in play. No, it's on the hill, just beyond the wall here at the FAU baseball stadium.
And no true action in the FIU bullpen yet, so definitely seems like Ryerson
kind of tells you.
Yep, he may need a second. They may have to use him for a second inning of work here. And
imagine that was probably the plan, right?
Yeah.
You come into this, you give him the start, okay, see what you can get. But even if the plan was only 1, 2, 3, okay, maybe he gets a second.
Let's go for another one. Let's see what you got.
Midweek Madness, all about earning opportunities. And this FIU staff was incredibly high on Ryan the moment he got to campus. Like you said, it was just injuries that derailed him. As the 1-2 is lifted into right, but Boylston is right at it for out number 1.
Good contact there for Ildefonso. And that may be what we see a lot of tonight, especially at this ballpark. Just a lot of hard contact, and unfortunately just lines out into the glove of an outfielder. And that happened to FIU a lot when they came down up here to Boca Raton in their last matchup.
That flag in center field, basically at full extension. Looks like it's coming in from center towards right. So a defensive advantage wind here in Boca Raton. As Alex Ulloa goes after the first pitch and sends it through the 4-3 hole. Opening base knock of the day belongs to FIU. And maybe unsurprisingly, the way he's hitting lately, Alex Ulloa.
Yeah, just in the middle of that lineup, a short, was the shortstop, now the second baseman, but a guy who just has power, and it really has shown throughout this whole season. And he continues to do it. Has been hitting everywhere in the lineup. Hit first at one point just because the splits line it up better for him there. Has hit in the middle where we're seeing him today, and it's working out.
Mark Hirsch going after the first one. He sees LaRue's back on it. Turns to Martinez. That's 1-6-4-3 textbook for FAU. A double play turned, and the first base hit of the day still leads to 1-2-3. Early onset pitchers duel at the FAU baseball stadium. Ryan Ryerson and company looking to come right back out to work here for FIU on the other side.
Coach Matt. Tonight, Andrew has a very tough question for Coach Matt. Take it away, Andrew. Congratulations, Andrew. You stumped Coach Matt.
Nothing our score here in Boca Raton. We go to the bottom of the second. Heart of the order coming up for Florida Atlantic, starting with Brando LaRue. Ryan Ryerson does indeed search for the longest outing of his Panther career. If he gets LaRue, he'll have it.
It was an efficient first inning, so if that was any indicator of what we could get from Ryerson tonight, I think the Panthers are in a good spot.
11 pitches, now make it 12 as Brando LaRue sends it straight back. LaRue 2 for 10 this year against FIU, but does have 3 stolen bases.
Last season, LaRue was in that leadoff spot a lot for FAU.
Ball in the dirt, yeah. Both teams have kind of toyed with that leadoff, though Marshall Lipsey's done a lot of really good things for Florida Atlantic, so that's how you kind of wind up hitting one. But even as Ulloa got that last base knock, he was hitting leadoff there for a bit for FIU, so constantly playing with it. And now, as you noted, Candelas getting his opener at the opening. 1-1, fouled straight back up and out of play.
Ryerson ahead of the count, and FIU leading the conference in strikeouts, which is awesome. On the downside, they also lead the conference in walks, which has certainly been an issue for them. Certain guys with over 20 walks already distributed this season.
And the strikeouts will continue to mount for the Panthers. LaRue down swinging, back-to-back Ks for Ryan Ryerson.
You were talking about it earlier, how high they are on Ryerson, how high they were on him as he was making his recovery from Tommy John. So they're just getting to see the fruits of what he had been working on now, and it's good to see certainly against a rival FAU team.
Sets up Jake Millen. Ryerson right back to work, and another first pitch strike from Ryan Ryerson. That is 5 for 5 on first pitch strikes.
And I think it also helps. This is a guy who hasn't just pitched a lot for FIU, so maybe FAU now, once they go through first time through the order, they made their adjustments, and that's what baseball's all about. You adjust, and you have to adjust to the league adjusts to you. You have to adjust right back. So that's what they're probably going to do with Ryerson, but you'll take the start any day of the week.
Always a tricky thing to do when you're in the 4th game of a series. 1-1 from Ryerson is skipped short in the dirt, so 2 balls, 1 strike in a scoreless ball game here in the bottom of the 2nd. But neither pitcher has gone against the other team yet coming into action today. So both squads getting creative, utilizing their depth, while also understanding it's 2 talented arms on the hill.
And it's 2 guys who haven't, pitched a lot in general this season.
Appeal down, went around. So Jake Millen has strike number 2.
Huge way there for Ryerson to get back into it there with the 2-2, was behind the count 2-1 there, and gets that big check swing.
Ryerson's 2-2. Dips down beneath the zone to run it full. Ryerson's payoff. In the dirt. Ball 4. So right on cue, Kevin. You mentioned it, and there it is. A strikeout right into a walk.
That's what would we call it? Broadcaster's jinx?
Yep.
I've had many of those already, so.
We begin to build up our broadcaster's jinx bank here at the end of the season, as Dylan LaPointe steps up for Florida Atlantic.
LaPointe's been awesome for them this season with an 810 OPS, just not getting on base a lot for 37, but also just hitting for what you need when it comes to average, and already has not a guy who strikes out a lot either, so 4 home runs.
Ball 1. Clearly trying to work down low is Ryan Ryerson, as that one caught some of the plate as well. Dylan LaPointe getting a game in each of the last few series, providing some relief in the middle stages. He's also done some work in the midweeks, and so accordingly, here he is against FIU. Sends that one right back up the middle, straight towards us. But the net fortunately in front, so it's just an exotic strike. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, 1 base runner. Jake Millen over at first here in a scoreless bottom of the 2nd.
Thank God we have that netting,
huh? Otherwise, we're testing my reflexes, which is a bad idea. Down, there's that downward movement that Ryerson's been hunting. So make it 1-2.
A lot of that off speed that's really been working for him too, getting a lot of swing and miss, and starting now's when we're starting to see that action in the FIU bullpen. I want to say that's Bryce Green warming up for FIU. Yep, that's him.
1-2 to LaPointe. Right back to it. It's that off speed. It's starting a little bit lower, so it's winding up in the dirt. But everything bucking downward for Ryan Ryerson.
And one of the benefits of the midweek matchups are that you have your entire roster to use, which includes the younger players on this team that, you know, usually won't make the CUSA roster.
So USA's down to 27. 2-2 becomes 3-2. So back-to-back full ones. Millen worked the walk, and now LaPointe 5 pitches in.
You know, with Mark Hurt, someone who's had to be on that roster recently just due to injuries or, you know, whatever it may be, finding himself now playing here a lot more.
Payoff pitch, sent foul straight back and out of play. So Millen and LaPointe will see more pitches between them the entire bottom of the first saw.
And credit to FAU, they're making him work, and that's probably what's going to knock him out of this ball game, if anything, if he ends up walking LaPointe.
3-2 one more time. This time low and right back. Off the backstop. The longest plate appearance for Florida Atlantic belongs to Dylan LaPointe, the 6th hitter. 0-0 here in the bottom of the second. 1 out and a runner over at first in Jake Millen. 3-2 a third time. This is the one put in play, and it's dropped into left field for a base hit. Dylan LaPointe, the opening knock for the Owls, and back-to-back base runners in front of Nick Romano.
Third baseman, number 9, Nick Romano.
Yeah, phenomenal at that there for LaPointe, getting it to go there. And we'll see. I mean, right now, 29 pitches for Ryerson, definitely not something that he's used to, and hasn't gone this long into an outing.
Since he came to Miami is the caveat there. Pitched a lot when he was in Iowa in the JUCO level. Now that said, it's a very different animal here at D1. But the toll on the arm, the same regardless, whether you're pitching to little leaguers or Division I players. That's why so much of the focus has been on eliminating overuse injuries at all levels of baseball. 0-1 becomes 1 ball and 1 strike.
Hopefully this won't end up being a broadcaster's jinx, but for what it's worth, Romano does have a 179 batting average with runners in scoring position. So FIU had a pretty good advantage here for what it's worth.
Has to get out of the way of one bending towards him on the breaking ball. So 2 balls, 1 strike. Nick Romano of FAU hoping to break the scoreless tie at zeros. Nick is 2 for 12 against FIU on the year. Stings that one into center. Might all be your fault, Kevin, as Millen's going to come around to score. The throw is into second, and not quite in time. So Nick Romano has the opening RBI today, and FAU has the first lead.
Yep, broadcaster's jinx.
Just lays the gauntlet down for FIU to respond. And now Carter Brady gets his first at-bat on the year against these Panthers.
Extremely close play there at second, too, and now we're starting to see pitching coach Carson Whitson take the mound here. We'll see if he points over to the bullpen.
Ryerson started this inning out with that strikeout of Brando LaRue. Since then, though, FAU adjusting to the tune of 3 straight base runners, and Ryerson will indeed step aside. It's a call to the bullpen here for the Panthers. 1-0 Florida Atlantic in the bottom of the second. FIU looking to get out of the jam.
Your attention, please. Pitching change for FIU. On the mound, number 13, Bryce Green. Green, the new pitcher for the Panthers.
Bryce Green will indeed step in here against FAU. His first time pitching against Florida Atlantic this year. Did actually throw here in Boca for an inning last year, so a return tour in many ways for Bryce Green. Comes in a tough spot here. 2 runners on, just 1 out in the frame, going against Carter Brady.
Yeah, and Bryce Green is someone that they were extremely high on to begin the season. Just talking to Rich Witten, preseason. Struggled a lot for what it's worth, but, since then, made two appearances, didn't allow earned runs, so we'll see how it goes. But a little bit of a wild pitcher for sure, but definitely, an opportunity here to hopefully induce a quick double play.
Does have a 2-0 count, does Carter Brady against Green. Brady got in at bat against UCF. That was the last midweek for Florida Atlantic coming in. One that heavily favored the Knights. 2-0 becomes 3-0 on an outside pitch from Green. So 1-0 FAU, 2 on the pond, and Carter Brady might have a chance to load the bases here in the bottom of the second.
Not exactly what you want here if you load the bases with Boylston coming up next.
Just lobs over the 3-0 to get it to 3-1, does Green.
And now it's just a matter of what Green's going to do here. He could easily go with the fastball right down the middle, which is what a lot of people do in this situation. And then it's FAU trusts Brady with the green light.
He goes after it, does Brady. Ulloa was played perfectly up the middle, and the play is at second. Valentin grabbed it and makes the play at second. So Owls at the corners and the all-important out number 2. So Green does the job. Now faced on Kyle Boylston.
Definitely think it was that was an interesting situation there because I do think he had, Valentin had time to make that throw. I just think Ulloa just bobbled it up a little bit there of how quick it was going, and yeah, just a tough one to convert there, but got a very important out. Just unfortunately, runners on the corners now against an FAU football player.
Kyle Boylston just joining the baseball team in January. Was banged up in summer, so didn't really get on the gridiron nearly as much as he'd hoped, but is indeed the two-way star. Don't see it a whole lot these days. I think the last one was Jameis Winston. Had a real nice pitching arm, as you'd expect for the NFL quarterback.
Russell Wilson also played baseball too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Was drafted very high, as it's 0-2, a swinging strike here for Boylston.
It's only 50 ABs for Boylston, but he's been awesome so far for FAU, and just having him in that 9-hole is probably exactly what you want. A lot of speed as well. Football definitely helps, so
sure.
you have him in a pretty good situation here at FAU, and we'll see how that looks for him, moving forward and how they handle that.
John McCormick describing him as a unique talent. 0-2 outside the entire way. Just the waste pitch, trying to get Boylston to make a mistake, and those are the type of plays that Kyle's making right now, taking the waste pitch, may not necessarily have made early on in his career. Continuing to adjust to the sport of baseball in real time and getting reps because of a couple injuries for Florida Atlantic. So Boylston got hits in 2 of the 3 against Charlotte. Right back to the waist pitch, blocked well by Hirsch, but as it skips away enough, Brady takes second. So 2 in prime position for Florida Atlantic. And from 2-0 to 2-2, deuce is wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 runners in scoring position in the second inning, where Florida Atlantic leads 1-0.
Seems like he's just trying to really make him swing and miss here. And definitely done that. Same pitch thrown twice, hasn't worked.
Right back into the strike zone, dips under the bat, and gets strike 3, does Bryce Green. Comes in, does the job, fielder's choice and strikeout, and the Owls are limited to just the 1 run on the Nick Romano RBI single. Panthers get the chance to answer the bell on the top of the 3rd. Coming up.
Tonight we are raffling off a PS5 that will be given away in the 6th inning. Head over to the marketing table and scan the QR code to enter tonight's raffle. Once again, the winner will be announced during the 6th inning. So get your entry in now. Leading off the top half, the 3rd for FIU. Center fielder, number 27, Albert Serrano.
One of the heroes against Western Kentucky, Albert Serrano, gets a regularly scheduled at-bat here after his pinch hit bid was instrumental in ending the game and concluding the top 20 sweep for FIU. Now Serrano watches one off speed for ball 1.
Yeah, it was started as the team's starting center fielder, played a lot, unfortunately just cooled down, and you got to give the freshman Cole Cleveland a lot of credit for going in there and just replacing that production that Serrano's had to start the season and just continuously do it. And now he's going to get an opportunity here, just like Hector Candelas, who pinch hit in that game against Western Kentucky.
Albert's got 5 at-bats this year against Florida Atlantic, so not a newcomer to this rivalry by any means. That one dovetails well away, and LaPointe just lets it go all the way to the backstop. So a 2-1 count here to the opening hitter of the top of the 3rd in Albert Serrano. Panthers hoping to answer the 1 run scored by the Owls to make this a 1-0 ball game. 2-1, well inside. Serrano gets out of the way of it to make it 3-1. He wasn't doing that about 48 hours ago, but here, baseball instead of trotting.
11 hit by pitches too for Serrano. He at one point led the nation in hit by pitches, which FIU is very high there.
And he'll get the free pass regardless. Will Serrano, a miss inside, ball 4, and a leadoff base runner for the 2nd time in 3 innings.
That's huge for Serrano. Someone who's, in 63 at bats, struck out 22 times, only 8 walks. Gets your 9th one there, and he's gonna have an opportunity for a couple more of those hopefully tonight.
Came into this game on basing about 390. So that is the primary weapon of destruction for Albert Serrano.
Would say a big reason for that are definitely those hit by pitches too.
Yeah, absolutely. That bunt with the ball coming right into the kitchen of Gade Valentin. Managed to keep the ball in the zone. The ball just goes foul, but he's thinking casual sacrifice, and all of a sudden the baseball's coming right at him at about 90 miles an hour.
He got lucky there too because he hit it foul, and that was up there in the air for a bit. The catcher could have easily gone there and maybe had a quicker reaction time. That could have been out.
LaPointe was as surprised as anybody, so it just goes down as an adventurous first strike. Nick Wemberly still in the game, his 0-1. This time the bunt chopped right down the line, played perfectly. Millen flips to a covering Martinez to honor the sacrifice. So Serrano in scoring position for Adonis Velez.
And good AB overall for Valentin. He's someone who's really struggled, offensively these last couple of weeks in conference play especially. And they're really using him there towards the bottom of the line to get him to bunt a little bit, maybe move some runners. Did that in the Western Kentucky series. And actually Serrano pinch hit for Valentin in that Western Kentucky series finale there. So great at bat for Kade.
Understood the assignment. Here is Adonis Velez getting out of the way of the one towards his head. A clear mission for Wimberly to try and pitch inside. And now his catcher, Dylan LaPointe's going to go talk to his pitcher.
And you mentioned it earlier. I mean, Velez with Team Puerto Rico in the U18 World Cup. So he knows what it's like playing at the biggest stage, for his level of competition. And he was a top 10 shortstop in Florida. And he was originally coming into Florida State, flipped to FIU. So that was a big get for the Panthers, and he was the crown jewel of their recruiting class, at least incoming freshman-wise, along with Mark Hirsch.
Has been very good against conference competition on the road. His 3-hit day in Fort Myers, the early career high. This time he'll lift it into right. Boylston coming forward and making the play. Serrano tagged, but will decide that it's not worth getting the third out at third. That is the correct baseball play for Serrano, and the lineup flips for Candelas.
Great throw by Boylston to keep Serrano there at second, because Serrano's a quick guy. He will steal base, he'll steal third, whatever it may be, and yeah, awesome throw.
Serrano did have the top 10 play on SportsCenter right out of the gate. You don't get those in center field by being slow.
They called it a Willie Mays-esque play, according to ESPN, which you'll take that.
Can Hector Candelas bring in the Willie Mays style player who's at second? 1-0 is the lead for FAU here in the top of the third.
Hector with a .447 on base percentage, just someone who walks almost as much as he strikes out, and a very patient hitter.
This time he sends it right up a chute though in the heart of the infield. Romano drifting over, making the play for out number 3. So the Panthers do get a base runner in each inning, but Nick Wimberly continues to work around it, and it will remain 1-0 Florida Atlantic. 2.5 complete. Bottom 3 coming up from Boca.
At this time, FAU Athletics like to thank the proud sponsor, Adidas, George Mortgage, Coca-Cola, No Rona, Dunkin', and Defending the Limits. It's on the bottom half of the third inning for FAU. Your center fielder, number 24, Marshall Lipsy.
Second time around begins for Florida Atlantic. Marshall Lipsy, a ground out victim his first time around. He'll start his sequel here in Boca Raton. Corey Brooks, Kevin Barral with you here from the FAU Baseball Stadium. As the first one sails wide for Bryce Green, who begins his first full inning of work. Happy to have you here on YouTube, the FIU audio experience. Had you covered for a couple in Fort Myers, here in Boca. And then one more from Coral Gables, coming up about a week.
Fortunately, no FIU milkshake over there.
Disappointingly so.
Yeah, extremely.
Which leads to the only natural question. 1-1 here from Bryce Green. Dips down 2-1. If you were creating the FIU milkshake at Mark Light Stadium, what's the special ingredient?
That's a great one, because you could do something with Pitbull. Think of something creative there.
Okay, so a shot of Fireball.
Yeah.
Which,
right.
I mean, I'm super here for it. A little dangerous, 3 balls, 1 strike.
Little cafecito.
Now you're getting warmer. Getting warmer. For me, and generally the vibe I get from the folks at Mark Light is it's got to be like a food item that's not normally in a milkshake. So I'm thinking, as the 3-1 from Green misses low and in, so a leadoff walk here for Marshall Lipsy. I'm thinking a croqueta milkshake.
I like that.
I think that might actually work, though. Because sometimes it's like, you know, the Philly cheese milkshake
insane.
for Villanova. You're like, all right, that's a little much.
That was insanity.
When Florida was down in Coral Gables, it was gator bites and barbecue sauce in the milkshake. Again, a little out there. I love all of it because I'm a weird eater. I'll eat anything. I'm on the seafood diet. I see food and I eat it. But I think a croqueta milkshake might actually work. So I'll pitch that to the powers that be, and they will not listen in Coral Gables. Strike 1 into John Martinez. Bottom 3 here.
It'll be Billy Gill on the call for that one.
It will indeed. Just throwing out spoilers, Kevin. Could have teased it. Could have said, "Oh,
right.
you know, it could be somebody you know you've heard of." No, all right. We'll just put it out there. 0-2 as Bryce Green pulls the string on a wicked off speed.
We need to tease the viewers for that one.
It's all right. That can be the secret for those of you listening here
Yeah.
on the FIU audio experience between us and the internet. As reaching out on the protection swing is Martinez. Deering running a long way. It's just out of his reach. It was a nice job to track it down by Austin Deering to basically the tarp, but it had enough off the bat of Martinez to keep him alive.
Great weather tonight as well, I will say. Nice little wind, not too hot.
Now cooling off a bit. Another nice day for baseball here in South Florida. Just a few weekends left. Panthers heading out to Dallas, then back home against Liberty in the final home series of the year.
Extremely tough matchups, too.
The 0-2 dovetails low and away. At DBU's the reigning champ. They continue to produce MLB draft talent. They got a guy who essentially bypassed the entire minors in the Angels organization. FIU saw him last year on the Hill. They've got a unbelievable baseball tradition out in Dallas. 1-2, in on the hands, just down the line and foul off the bat of Martinez. So it'll remain 1-2. Lipsy's over at first. The lead is 1-0 Florida Atlantic. And then Liberty's right there with FIU in the heart of that conversation for the CUSA tournament, trying to pick up a lot of momentum. And most importantly, finish on the right side of that cut line, which both teams are certainly poised to do.
Yeah, they've definitely struggled a bit in conference play, too, after such a great start. Similar to FIU, they've had similar trajectory this season.
Hit and run, but as the ball sails over the palm trees and visits the parking lot behind home plate, Lipsy will just return to first.
And within those conference series, you had this midweek, obviously, and then next weekend, as we were saying, Coral Gables against the Hurricanes, who are red hot. And, you know, they just went to Boston, played that last game in Fenway, swept, I believe, Boston College. So, you know, they're riding a lot of momentum right now. Despite the 2 losses to FIU, they're looking at potentially getting an at-large bid.
They were playing their best baseball of the year coming into that last game against FIU. Panthers beat them anyway. 1-2, out in front was Martinez. Bryce Green toying with velocity for a K.
That was nasty. I mean, Bryce Green is someone who's really going to try to get you a swing and miss, similar to Ryerson. It's a little bit of a lower arm slot for Green, but it works. And it's a little bit of control issue sometimes, but when it's on, and that's, I think, what FIU's coaching staff really saw in someone like a Bryce Green, especially early on during fall camp and whatever it may have been, how good he could be, and they were using him in high leverage.
Pickoff attempt gets by the glove, and Lipsy will get second. It was a bit low out of the hand of Green, and Austin Deering, who's played first base before but not on the year, slides over, and it was just underneath his glove, so Lipsy's in scoring position.
Yeah, I want to say this is his second start at first here at FIU, ever at FIU. He did not play first base at all last season, so definitely tough one for Green. For Green and for Deering, honestly, because now you put a runner in scoring position with a guy who doesn't hit great for runners in scoring position, but, you know, I said that last time.
I was about to say, you might have to retire that
stat. So I
will
retire that part. But he does hit 290 runners on.
There you go.
So runners in scoring position, different.
Tale of two stats. Schroeder chops it straight down and foul. FIU had that last year where you had a guy who could combination right field, first base, a little bit of versatility there. This year the infield's been largely settled, but with Barral getting an off day, that role to be filled by Austin Deering. 1-1, straight back, so 1-2. 1-0 FAU here in the bottom of the third. Let's see in scoring position at second.
It's not going to get easier for FIU. I know. It's, yeah, definitely not going to get easier now as the night falls here in Boca. Just so tough to hit at night, and that's, I didn't even know that was a thing to begin with, but I guess the wind's just so much harder during that time.
Casual check over at first, back in plenty of time, is Lipsy. It's kind of true even at FIU, where
Exactly.
you think about Sundays, day game all day, ball flies. At night, a little bit less so. And with some wider dimensions here at Florida Atlantic, I suppose it would make sense applying doubly so. Fouled straight back. So the count remains 1-2. This will be the fifth pitch to John Schroeder.
I do think it's a little bit more in, though, I will say. It's wider for sure, but just a bit more in it. Not exactly like FIU's, but regardless, tough to hit.
1-2 one more time. That's in, catches the dirt, and Lipsy steals third. So 15 stolen bases. That ball looked like it was going to kick the dirt and hit Schroeder. It was a little bit short of his foot, but it winds up bouncing off the batter's box to Schroeder's right, and it's an exceptionally easy stolen base for Lipsy. That one's cracked well to right with pace, right on the track, in front of the wall. Two guys collide. Candelas still holds on and manages to keep that thing in the yard. Hector Candelas withstanding contact from Serrano. It's pass interference on FIU on themselves, but Candelas still holds on and makes the play. Lipsy does score on a sac fly, but that is a monumental highlight by Hector Candelas.
He did this last time too in Boca Raton, if you remember. He robbed the homer, and he does it here. I don't think this one was exactly a homer, but it definitely was extra bases and would have put FAU in a really favorable situation. But thankfully for FIU, just one run, and you're so within striking distance with the offense and how it's looked these past week.
So a very loud sacrifice fly 9. And now that's fired in, so 1-1 strike, the count for Brando LaRue. Bases suddenly empty, but the lead is 2-0 for Florida Atlantic.
And now as we're once again seeing some action in that FIU bullpen.
This time lifted much more casually. Ulloa comes in from second base, calls and holds to close the door. The heroics by Hector Candelas in right prevent it from getting much worse, but Schroeder's long sac fly does double the margin. 2-0 FAU with 3 complete. Middle innings coming up. Panthers looking to come back.
No errors and nobody left on base. After 3 innings of play, Owls 2, Panthers nothing. Fans, turn your attention toward our home dugout, where it's time for a potato sack race to first base. Tonight we have Aiden, Atlas, and Roman. Let's see who will be the fastest to first base. Fans, let's make some noise Guys, on your mark, get set, go. Atlas in the red is your winner. Your attention, please. Pitching change for FAU. On the mound, right-hander number 23, Dawson Ball.
Back at it here in Boca. New pitcher in for Florida Atlantic. We'll see Dawson Ball go to work. He's got 4 innings thrown so far on the year. Keshawn Frett on the very first pitch sends it high, watches it fly. Kish Cash. Keshawn makes a Boca splash. The lead is cut in half, and Keshawn Frett welcomes Ball to the game with a home run.
Back-to-back games with a home run for Frett, 18th on the season, just continues to add on to that career high of his. Man, did they need that, and he welcomes Dawson Ball, the new relief pitcher, with an absolute shot to left field.
Here we are thinking, all right, we've got some time. Let's read some of Ball's stats, introduce him to the audience here. Nope, no chance. Keshawn Frett, a towering ball to left. And just like that, it's 2-1, strike one into Austin Deering.
Sean Frett introduced him for us. So
there you go.
I think we got.
Deering cracks it hard, but it skips into the glove of Martinez. Throws a little low, but Millen saves it at first. So an adventurous first out, but a first out nonetheless.
And it's not going to get easier for Ball. You have the Defonso, and then you have Alex Ulloa, 2 guys who hit for a lot of power. So it's not going to be easy. And Andrew with his family here, a huge crowd for him tonight.
This is as close to a home game as you can get without it actually being at home. Strike one into Andrew Defonso.
Early on, a lot of middle stuff, which FIU should probably be trying to bite on a little bit more there, because Keshawn did it. One with the rest.
Not that time. It skips short of the plate to make it 1-1 strike to Ildy. Well, I guess the closest thing to a home game would probably be in Coral Gables, but
yeah,
it's a different animal. Geography versus tenure. A long-time rivalry. These two in the same conference for a while before Florida Atlantic made the move to the American.
And now in every sport they face each other every year. Basketball, you have football. They're coming over to FIU this year, so
very much maintain the rivalry even though they are no longer conference foes. 2 balls, 2 strikes. It means a lot to both fan bases, and it's a very, very easy trip for both schools, so it just makes all the sense in the world. Two to LD. Chopped up, 2 bounces over to Romano on the third base side. He comes across the diamond in time for out number 2. So Dawson Ball answers the homer with 2 straight outs, and Alex Ulloa will try and end the run.
That was Frett's second career home run against FAU, so he is no stranger to hitting nukes against the Owl.
I have to imagine once you get north of, 5, 6 games played against a given opponent, Fret's probably going to have a home run against him at some point. The numbers just kind of bear that out. Ulloa goes after the first pitch. Into the glove of Romano over at third. And it's 3 straight ground outs. So Dawson Ball, once he settled in, did a great job. Fret never gave him that opportunity. His solo shot makes this a 2-1 game. Off to the bottom of the fourth we go. Florida Atlantic coming up.
Brought to you by the man the limit, attorney. Your attention, please. Pitching change for FIU. On the mound, number 25, Tristan Dietrich. Dietrich, the new pitcher for the Panthers.
Well, a familiar name going to take the hill, and another guy that's probably playing his best baseball right now. Tristan Dietrich was outstanding over the course of these last couple of weeks, and so they turn right back to him here against Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, when I spoke to Coach Witten following the Miami game, he said Tristan Dietrich is the reason we won that game. And came out against Western Kentucky, walked 2, but overall, he's been pretty good for FIU this season, just for the most part. And this is a guy who they're really high on. They really believe in the stuff. This is a guy who was drafted by the Miami Marlins at the 18th round and decided to honor his commitment to play here at FIU. And he pitched on Sunday. So he threw 28 pitches. I'm assuming this will be a 1-inning outing for Dietrich, if anything. But they could also run him out there for maybe 2 or 3 innings, knowing that he is a starting pitcher, but just has been used out at the bullpen.
Goes a couple today, and you push him back from a Friday option in Dallas to a Saturday or a Sunday. He's done his good work on Sunday, so hey, maybe that's the plan. Let's see. Millen going after the first pitch, lifts it to center. Serrano a few steps over, and he makes the grab. Well, if you want Dietrich to go a little bit longer, there's your best friend. 1 pitch, 1 out.
And FIU's outfield has been awesome, not just today, but overall this season. Because Serrano is someone who, as we noted, made an ESPN top 10 catch. And he's a good center fielder. He's a speedy guy, athletic, so is Kashan, and then you have Hector and Wright. So it's been a good combo of outfielders for FIU, and that's something that they really prioritize, which is defense.
Dylan LaPointe straight to Cade Valentin at short. 2 pitches and 2 outs. And if you're Nick Romano right here, you can basically put the bat down on this next pitch.
Romano.
Yeah, FAU trying to be really aggressive early on, just trying to see if they can get to Dietrich. And maybe that's because Dietrich is just getting a lot more middle, more hittable stuff early on, which is fine, and that's what he's done throughout his time here at FIU. But, yeah, I think maybe, as you said, put the bat down. Let's be a little patient. Let's try to get on base.
Romano taking all the way, properly so, even though it's a strike. You can't give up the 3-pitch inning. Dietrich working with good pace. 0-2. 2-1 the lead for Florida Atlantic here in the bottom of the 4th. But Tristan Dietrich with some big-time wind in his sails.
And that was huge for Dietrich in the Miami appearance, just getting ahead of the count.
Goes for the waist pitch, but it's a competitive one. Dips underneath the zone. 1 ball, 2 strikes here to Nick Romano. whose RBI single represents the first run of the day for Florida Atlantic. 1-2, swung right through. 2 pitches, 2 outs, and a swift strikeout. Dietrich dealing in Boca. 4 complete. Panther pitching, starting to take the spotlight. Now can the bats answer the bell, down 1.
With the nozzle rolling guarantee, those pests won't be coming back. Nozzle rolling is proud to be an official partner of Florida Atlantic Athletics. Your attention, please. Pitching change for FAU. On the mound, left-hander number 55, Zach Kilby. Kilby, the new pitcher for the Owls.
Just 1 inning of work for Dawson Ball, perhaps in part because Kashawn Frett took him 365 over the wall, and the Owls would turn to Zach Kilby, who's done some really good things this year for Florida Atlantic. This is his 17th appearance. He's over 40 innings pitched, so very much a workhorse. Had 4 innings pitched against ECU. That was the highlight of his AAC run to this point. Also got 1 inning of work against Charlotte. Now Kilby back out there for the Owls.
He's a guy who probably FIU saw a couple times already, not just this year, but maybe last season too.
Lifted into center, Serrano converging, and he'll make the play. So Mark Hirsch will go 1 pitch, 1 out, and send it right over to Marshall Lipsy.
Those are the moments that you feel like the winds can help you. You know, right? It's blowing all the way to right. As you mentioned, that flag is as high as it could be. So you're seeing the full flag there, and someone like Hirsch definitely helps it. And he's a pretty powerful guy. We saw him hit a home run. It was a tank at home.
Serrano watches strike 1. Zach Kilby, the transfer from Chippewa, 34 games over the course of his last couple years at one of the powerhouse junior colleges that has been known to provide a ton of talent to both teams. So Hirsch flies out. Serrano at 1-1. 2-1 is the lead for Florida Atlantic here in the top of the 5th. Right back to that off speed. Serrano was on it, but it's to Romano, who has been busy on the left side of that infield and continues to produce. 3 of the last 4 outs have been 5-3 ground outs, and Nick Romano has kept the routine just that.
It felt like a really slow pitch, like a curveball there that Serrano maybe just didn't see coming. I don't know what it was, but definitely could have had that was a pretty hard hit ball. It could have been a little bit more elevated, I think, if he had just timed it up a little bit better, but hey, I mean, maybe saw him a little bit better there. This game was about making adjustments. Time to make those.
Jumped in with some more velo there in the hand of Kilby for strike 1. Back in Miami, we got access to the TrackMan data, so we can give you all the analytics, pitch speed, horizontal, vertical break. Not something we have the benefit of on the road here in Boca.
With the trusty eye test.
Maybe in Coral Gables we'll get it.
I do believe that is the case.
I believe they certainly have the infrastructure. It's just a question of will they share it with the enemy broadcasters. 1-1, 1-2. Dropped in the low part of the zone by Zach Kilby. Billy likes to rattle off those numbers, even though the context is not necessarily given by our expert broadcaster, Billy Gill. 1-2, that was high on the hands, didn't matter one bit. Kade Valentin sends it up the middle, and a sigh of relief for Kade. He reaches base, a 2-out base knock for the Panthers.
Man, did he need that one, huh?
Well, feel good. Baseball, often a game of runs. When you're hot, you're very much rolling. And when you're not, it can be a challenging mental game. The good news for Kade is that the defense will be there no matter what. So that part of his game stays locked in. Now he gets the single right back from where it came and passes the baton to Adonis Velez, who watches strike one.
He had one hit in his last 11 games. That was against the Hurricanes. So, you know, hopefully that gets him back on track. He's a really quick guy, so now you're going to get some havoc on the base paths hopefully here for FIU.
Was tearing it up, very casual pickoff. Valentin back in plenty of time. In the pre-conference slate and early con, Kade was hitting the cover off the ball. So the nature of a baseball season, you have those peaks and valleys, but Kade's got good pop. Right there, utilizes that strength to deliver a baseball right down Broadway. 0-1 to Valentin, to Velez is now 0-2. Zach Kilby looking to complete his first full inning of work. 0-2, blocked up by LaPointe, keeps it relatively in front of him, trickles down the first base line, and so no advance is possible for Valentin.
And I would even say just having, you know, someone like Valentin on first is so crucial because mentally it messes with the pitcher knowing that, hey, I've got a really quick guy on the base paths and I have to, you know, still worry about someone like Velez.
Big looping breaking ball from Zach Kilby. Adonis will just spoil it and foul it off. So count remains 1-2. 2 outs here. Panthers looking to erase the 1-run deficit. Kilby's 1-2 foul tip into the glove of LaPointe. Goes down as Zach Kilby's first strikeout of the ball game and his first strikeout against the Panthers. Just 1 run of separation. Sometimes in these midweeks, you think it's going to be a bunch of runs with a bunch of pitchers. Not yet so far. 2-1. FAU coming back up, bottom 5.
Leading off the bottom half of your designated hitter, number 34.
Rolling along at the FAU Baseball Stadium. 8-9-1 here for Florida Atlantic. Carter Brady will hit leadoff. Tristan Dietrich comes right back out. A smooth first inning. This time it's to Candelas in right that drops down in front of him. So Carter Brady has the first hit of the day against Dietrich. exactly what they wanted to do the first time against him. Jake Miller went after the first pitch, sent it out to Serrano. So it is very clear that something in the scouting report for the Owls involves attacking Dietrich very early.
And I think that's just because Tristan won't hit you with the velo right away. He's a guy who could be 94, 95 too at that time, which is what you want. But it doesn't seem like he does that too often. It's usually more middle to begin at bats, like right there.
Out straight back by Kyle Boylston.
And you're seeing there, you know, the middle, they're gonna be aggressive and first, you know, swing it right away. And that's what seems like happened in that last inning for Florida Atlantic.
Something you don't see a whole lot of in baseball. Bunt flash brought back in time, so 1 ball, 1 strike in a 2-1 game here favoring FAU. So many teams just let that first one go. Hey, you want to drive up a pitch count, you want to make a pitcher work, and you look back at the end of the at-bat and realize, oh wait, that was the only one I was going to get the whole time. So now FAU taking advantage, saying, all right, we'll go after the first one. So far, largely not to their benefit. That's changing here. Boylston sends it through the 4-3 hole, and it's back-to-back base hits for the Owls. Carter Brady, Kyle Boylston. It's the bottom of the order getting it done for Coach Mack, and now Marshall Lipsy, the leadoff man, comes up and hits third.
Not going to get easier here for Tristan Dietrich, because even then, Boylston may be your 9 hitter, but he's kind of like that #1 hitter in this type of situation with how he's been doing this season with 365. And now you get a guy in Lipsy who is really good and has been awesome with runners on and in scoring position as well. So this could be a big, you know, game-deciding moment for FIU, because if Lipsy puts that ball in play in the outfield, it's going to be really tough for FIU to maybe try to come back in this one.
Just a casual look around at the bases as Dietrich will step off. Marshall Lipsy, after that walk in the third, has now walked in 3 straight games. Has tremendous patience, as is befitting a leadoff hitter.
And a lot of confidence here in Dietrich, because although you have someone warming up in the Panthers bullpen.
But popped into foul territory, and it rolls its way to the Panther dugout.
Although there's someone in the Panthers bullpen right now, they're giving Dietrich the best hitter on this FAU team by far. And we'll see how much longer they can have him go out there. He's only at 10 pitches, maybe 11. So definitely still a long way to go, you know, where Dietrich could go in terms of his pitch count. Got to remember he did pitch 28 pitches on Sunday.
High and tight. So Lipsy makes it 1-1. Brady at second, Boylston at first. Florida Atlantic, their biggest threat of the day. Bunt laid down, just a look at second, turn to first in time. A great job by Dietrich to honor the sacrifice of the speedy Marshall Lipsy. 2 in prime position for John Martinez.
Took a quick look over there at second, but I think at that point, yeah, you just have to honor it. And you have to put the confidence in your outfield, because if it is a sac fly, you're going to have to throw home right away, if not go to third and cut it off there. But yeah, putting the trust in your outfield, saying, all right, guys, you know, honored the bunt. Now let's try to get the second out of the inning.
Lipsy had the first foul on the bunt attempt. That time, just a light push straight at Tristan Dietrich. And the first rule in the book of small ball, 2 on, nobody out, you go to the sacrifice bunt, even if it's one of your best hitters. Rolled over, snagged by Valentin on the dive, in time to Austin Deering. So for the second straight time, it's a defensive highlight by FIU that gets an out, but scores a Florida Atlantic run. Brady cashes in on the Martinez swing, and it's 3-1 Florida Atlantic.
And as frustrating as that is, you're still limiting the damage no matter what, because that could have turned into potentially 2 runs there if that ball had gone into the outfield. So great play by Valentin there, and that's a big reason why they brought him here, to make those type of plays. So he's having himself a nice night out there at shortstop.
Schroeder right to Ulloa, who was playing up the middle. A perfectly placed shift by the Panthers, and they do indeed limit the damage once again. Florida Atlantic scores in 3 of the last 4 innings, and nearly all of their runs today are coming on outs, but they are still scoring, and that's why they have a 2-run lead with 5 complete. 6th coming up. Panthers trying to answer, down a couple.
your attention toward the right field line, where it's time to play hit home run into the berm. Tonight, Cade will be thrown 3 pitches, try to hit one over the fence onto the berm and win an FAU prize pack. Cade, are you ready? Let's see the first pitch. 2 more. And there's 3. Thanks, Gabe. Thanks for coming to the ballpark. Your attention, please. Pitching change for FAU. On the mound, the right-hander, number 28, Joey Abazia. Abazia, the new pitcher for the Owls.
Definition of Johnny Holstaff on the hill today for Florida Atlantic. Joey Abazia will take over his 2nd appearance of the year against FIU. Did throw a perfect inning, 1 inning pitched, no hits allowed, but that was a couple months ago. Both teams are very different now, and he'll face Hector Candelas in the leadoff spot for FIU. Candelas watches ball 1 in the dirt.
Probably the best situation possible for the FIU offense, right? I mean, you have Hector coming up who could put up a pretty good at bat, and then you have Kashan who had the home run in that last at bat for him. So couldn't be a better situation for the FIU Panthers. Hopefully that remains that is the case. Hopefully it is a good situation.
Big swing through for the opening strike. Sun setting here in Boca. Twilight hours, seeing FAU up 3-1 in this top of the 6th. Candelas sky high, drifting towards Millen over at first base, who takes 2 steps forward, 1 step back to make the grab for out number 1.
Left fielder.
And the exclusive source of offense for the Panthers to this point will come right back to bear. Here's Kashawn Frett after a home run in the 4th.
You have to give him a lot of credit. The way the wind was blowing on that last home run, just going to right. I mean, that's as impressive as it gets to where he hit that. And that was, I mean, the second that the ball hit the bat, like, it was out of here.
Yep. A no-doubter to dead left field. 2 breaking balls. One's good for a strike, one's good for a ball. So the count even at 1s against Kashawn Frett. 1-1. Frett cracks it hard, but foul right through that third base coach's box. Brian Geralman will just watch it roll all the way to the wall. John Martinez playing right behind that second base bag. 1-2. Kashawn Frett a little bit early, pulls it hard and straight to the wall on the left field side.
And Frett has some of the most impressive foul balls out there. I mean, it's 113, 110 off the bat in that Sunday game against Western Kentucky. I mean, it was a foul ball, 113 off the bat. Next pitch, 111 off the bat with a home run.
That was it. The 1-2 sails over Frett's head. Scary one there, but fortunately, it was too high even for Frett's stature. Yeah, we were talking on the broadcast. You see that foul ball? Okay, was that Frett kind of locking in? Sure enough, bam, next pitch, game over. See what he does here. 2-2. Joey will just miss. So a 3-2 count for Kashawn Frett. Payoff pitch to the CUSA. Home run king. He steers it down the line and 3-hops it to the track. Kish is going to take the wide turn, chugging into second easily. 6 total bases on 2 swings for Kashawn Frett. A 1-out double for the Panther power source.
What a season for Kashawn Frett. He's setting himself up to potentially get some calls from MLB teams at this point with the home runs, what he's doing offensively. Still got to work on the strikeouts, but overall, I mean, Kashawn Frett has really put himself in a good situation at FIU. Looking at last season, the way he's grown from one year to another, and what he did at the JUCO level as well, which is no joke.
A top 5 OPS in Conference USA, the home run king in Conference USA. And a bare minimum closing in on that All-CUSA first team honor to go along with even a potential nomination for CUSA Player of the Year, the way that Kish is going right now.
I was going to say, he definitely has an opportunity for that. He's definitely in the running for it, too. It's not going to be easy because of the talent in CUSA, which continues to improve year by year, but Kish finds himself amongst the top.
Historically, a very good baseball league. 2-0 becomes 3-0 to Austin Deering, and reinvented itself well. You lost a lot in that last round of realignment. Really good baseball teams. You think of a Southern Miss, it's got a tremendous baseball pedigree, but you welcome in a team like DBU, who's been outstanding for a long time. 4-pitch walk. So Deering easily gets to first base, and following the opening out, the Panthers get back-to-back base runners. And it's going to be a meeting of the minds here for Joey Abazia on the hill.
I mean, couldn't have set it up better for Ildefonso. Runners on first and second, 1 out. One big swing, and FIU finds themselves either leading, or you could even tie this game up at 3 apiece. So Ildefonso's seen himself in some big moments, especially early on in his FIU career. Found himself in some big situations in those weekends against Merrimack, Bucknell.
Right. So
he has an opportunity, and as you said, he's had some success against FAU. So we'll see what happens here, but very, very good opportunity as FAU's pitching coach is coming over to talk to his guy.
Even with the 0-for-2 start on the day, Ildy's still hitting .333 against Florida Atlantic.
And it's 2 hard-hit balls, too, for Ildefonso. And that's been the case for FIU. And you would love to see that expected batting average. It looks like an even hard hit percentage, because those are 2 things that really define how unlucky a team has been and what could happen, moving forward for your team.
It's one of the most interesting numbers in the sport of baseball, a hard hit percentage up against batting average on balls in play. It essentially tells you, like you said, how lucky or unlucky you've gotten. Baseball is a unique sport in that there's a number for everything. Even something as tough to conceive as luck has a number in baseball. Fouled straight down off the plate for Ildy, so 2 balls, 1 strike. It's a 3-1 lead for Florida Atlantic. However, FIU has 2 on and only 1 out. Two, 1. Just good velo right there for Abazia to level the count.
What a way to get back into the count there. Extremely impressive, getting that swing and miss there working. And Ildefonso finding himself in a really tough spot here.
2's up. Ildy sat back on that off speed, chops it to Romano. He touches third for 1, comes across the diamond and gets the stretch from Jake Millen. 2-turn 2. Panthers get on a bit of a run, but a pitcher's best friend comes to bear in Boca. It's a double play. Romano snags, tags, and turns to close the door. Remains 3-1 as we go to the bottom of the 6th.
3-1. All right, our fans, it's time to announce the winner of tonight's $5 giveaway. Congratulations go out to Tony Garcia. Tony, please make your way to the marketing table to claim your prize. Show your Apple ID card and pick it up. Thank you to all students who entered. Congratulations, Tony Garcia. off the bottom half of the sixth inning for FAU. Your shortstop, number 5.
Part of the order coming up for Florida Atlantic, Brando LaRue, Jake Millen, and Dylan LaPointe. A group that Panther pitching has largely handled well, and now Tristan Dietrich will conclude his first time through. Brando LaRue's the only one who hasn't seen him yet. First pitch to LaRue, goes through the 4-3 hole, and it's a one-pitch base knock for LaRue, his first today.
And they continue to attack Dietrich on that first pitch, which is extremely interesting. Maybe it's just something Dietrich's going to have to adjust, but I wouldn't be surprised right here if Millen attacks that first pitch.
Since Tristan came into the game, the longest at-bat has been 4 pitches. That was his strikeout of Nick Romano. Other than that, 1, 1, 1, 3, 3, 2, 1. The number of pitches in each at-bat. Millen this time will take the opener on a high ball 1. Bottom 6 on a nice night at the FAU Baseball Stadium. Wind howling hard left to right. Happy to have you here on the FIU Audio Experience. Corey Brooks, Kevin Barral with you from the northern edge of South Florida. Becomes 3-0 to Jake Millen. Very close to it. Once you get Palm Beach County behind you, you're no longer in South Florida. You could argue South Florida stops at Broward, but we'll extend some kindness to our friends up here at FAU. 3-1.
That's a big argument, actually. People argue what South Florida is and what South Florida is not.
Right.
So some people say after Port St. Lucie, you're no longer in South Florida. I think that's a little bit of a stretch.
The 3-1 will miss, so back-to-back base runners. Millen walks it out to first. And it does depend who you ask. I grew up in Broward, so I'm naturally inclined to have it north of Broward. For folks who grew up in Miami, they might tell you the second you leave the Tri-County area, you're not in South Florida anymore.
See, that's fair. And
that's a little aggressive for me, though.
And it's completely different, too.
It is.
It's a complete, not what I'm saying culture shock, but it definitely is different. But, again, people have their take.
There's a lot of similarity between Miami-Dade and Broward.
I agree.
Look, I'm not telling you that Sunrise is the same as Westchester. Strike 1 into Dylan LaPointe. There are differences, but there are also very much parts of Miami-Dade County that do not resemble Westchester.
Agreed.
0-1, LaPointe squares around to bunt, gets it down, splits the difference. It's off Dietrich's glove. He can't quite handle it, and the throw sails high. LaRue's coming home and scoring on the backside. Just a perfectly placed bunt by Dylan LaPointe. Dietrich tried his best to save it, but the flip was over the head of Deering, and Florida Atlantic capitalizes to make it 4-1.
And good instinct by Ulloa there to get to Hirsch. Not sure why Hirsch didn't immediately turn around, knowing that error, that throwing error, the tossing error by Dietrich would allow the runner on third to go home and cost him a run there, 4-1 out. And FIU, who has really not been able to get much going offensively, only 4 hits. On 1 run on 4 hits, it's been a rough one for the Panthers offense, and it seems like they're continuing to dig themselves in the hole, an issue that they continue to have here at FAU Baseball Stadium.
Romano now squaring around to bunt. That's a foul ball. So it's still, all of a sudden, first and second, nobody out, which is an automatic sacrifice bunt situation.
Now, I want to say that's the 3rd of the day as well, so they're really taking advantage of the bunts.
2 errors up on the board for FIU. One of those days. But if you have to have errors, you'd rather they come in the midweeks, even when you're playing your rival, than have them in a conference series, especially against DBU, as that's a foul straight back off the mask of Mark Hirsch. It remains 0-2, 4-1 the lead now for Florida Atlantic. They have scored in 4 of the last 5 innings, but they've all been 1-run frames. Romano with 2 strikes, having to stand in. He fouls it straight back.
And these are the moments you begin to tell yourself, you know, at this point you're playing for the conference. This game obviously matters, as what we mentioned at the top, bragging rights, playing your rival. But then there's the conference play, and you're playing for something bigger than this.
0-2 just to beat outside. So 1 ball, 2 strikes to Nick Romano.
And you're not playing all your regulars too. You know, Velez isn't a regular for what it's worth. Hirsch isn't either. And 80 usually does not play first base.
Right.
So you're in a tough situation, but in one that you need to be.
Right through the 4-3 again, splitting that gap between first and second. Millen gets held at third, throw to second, just a beat behind. LaPointe overran second, expecting the run to come to the plate. It never did, but heads up base running, keeps the bases loaded for Florida Atlantic, and Carter Brady gets a chance to go with 3 Owls on.
And really, just not a great tag there by, I think that was Valentine. And here comes, yeah, we're going to have a pitching change here most likely because, yep, there it is.
Call to the bullpen by Karsten Whitson. Owls will gather as well. Still nary an out in the inning. FIU has done a great job of limiting the damage. They will need a Houdini here with 3 on and nobody out.
Your attention, please. Pitching change for FIU. On the mound, number 46, Bryce Turner. Turner, the new pitcher for the Panthers.
Well, with a great start to this inning, aided by an FIU miscue, the Panthers will make a change and turn to Bryce Turner. 9 2/3 innings pitched on the year for Bryce. 2-1 in strikeouts to walk is what you want. 10 Ks, 5 walks. His record is 1-0. Bryce Turner going for the first time against Florida Atlantic.
A little bit of a weird delivery for Turner, which could be good, and at the same time it could be pretty bad. Because the good of this is obviously you're going to get a lot of swing and miss. It's going to be a really deceptive pitches that come through. And then the bad is the velo. It's going to be a lot of middle stuff potentially that could really just leave. It could stay there, and any hitter could take advantage of it. I don't think he's faced FAU yet, and he has not, but he has made a lot of appearances for this FIU team, and as a freshman, they're really relying on him this season. Similar to guys like a Mark Hirsch and Andrew DeFonso, you know, one freshman, one redshirt freshman.
Joey Slattery, who just came back, will be the pinch hitter here. Made his return April 22nd against UCF. Now he will come in. This is his 14th at-bat of the season. Slattery watching. So 1 ball, 1 strike, a 4-1 lead for Florida Atlantic. Joey Slattery originally hit righty. Decided he was more comfortable hitting lefty. So now in the right batter's box he goes. Got some opportunity at the end of last year after a really tough injury a couple seasons ago. Very first start of his Florida Atlantic career was against FIU, in which he had a hit and an RBI. Right now he's pitching. Seeing the bases loaded, foul tip into the glove of Hirsch. A massive strikeout for Bryce Turner.
Bryce Turner came into that game against Western Kentucky in a pretty difficult situation as well in that tie game, and he was huge for the Panthers there too, and he's showing it off in the midweek as well. Someone who they've relied on a lot this season, if it's even a conference matchup or even during the midweeks, he's been used a lot, and he's going to be a guy who they continue to use, throughout the time he's here at FIU.
So all of a sudden, that little bit of a possible Houdini escape hatch comes up. Turner fires in strike one to Kyle Boylston.
And many people look at 4-1 and they're like, all right, this may be it. I mean, there's still some baseball left to be played. FIU has made comebacks already this season, and you never know. They've got the power to do it.
Boylston goes after the change in the dirt, 0-2. 4-1, very much in striking distance. If Boylston throws the haymaker here, maybe less so. But Bryce Turner picking up swinging strikes since coming into the game. Bryce is 0-2, a waste pitch knocked down by Hirsch, but everyone will just hold. That got all the way to the edge of the dirt, but Millen didn't want to take the chance.
Yeah, and good job there by Hirsch to really track it down, stay with the ball, because Turner easily could have come home and gotten out the runner out there with Millen.
So the waste pitch a little too wasty. Not a bad idea, though. 1-2. Just misses.
Tried to get that swing and miss again, repeating him the same pitches he swung at. So good decision there, just didn't get him the bite.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 3 Owls on base. Bryce Turner will see it fouled straight back. A 6th pitch to Kyle Boylston, with the game potentially in the balance. Boylston cranks it to right. Candelas able to come forward and make the grab. Millen's gonna come home. The throw is cut. It will be a sac fly for Kyle Boylston. Runs on outs, the grand majority for FAU today, but they keep getting them. It's their first multi-run inning thanks to Kyle Boylston.
And now we're seeing Rich Witten come out here, which is unusual. It definitely is not a pitching change, but definitely something, a conversation he's having here. Something's up.
I wonder if he's not arguing.
Maybe arguing that he didn't touch third? I mean,
he left early before the catch was made, be the only thing I could think of. That Millen took off or beat too soon. That's about the only argument I think could be made here.
And there's not much you can do about it. There's no replay, which really does suck in this scenario, because easily you're Rich Witten, you go, I want to check this out.
Right.
But not the case here.
So, lineup flips. Lipsy hits for a 4th time. So he's only recorded 1 at bat. A sac bunt and a walk to this point in the day, plus the 1-3 ground out that began the game. Strike 1 to Lipsy. Florida Atlantic, their largest lead today, 5-1.
And these are the moments where you're a little bit frustrated because FIU's doing all the correct things. You're getting the outs you need. Unfortunately, FAU's just been able to capitalize a lot.
Lipsy sends it sky high into shallow center. Valentin's got a long way to go. It'll wind up with Serrano, who makes the grab to close the inning. 6 complete. Owls add 2 more. Panthers will need their bats in the final third of this ball game, but still 2 runs. Not as bad as it could have been with the bases loaded and nobody out. So we head to the 7th. Panthers searching to erase a 4-run Owl lead.
Owls. 5 score updates, lineups, and much more. Your attention, please. Pitching change for FAU on the mound. right-hander, number 19, Ryan Buckler. Buckler, the new pitcher for the Owls. Leading off the top half of the seventh inning for FIU. Second base, number 1, Alex Loa.
Alex Ulloa will hit leadoff and welcome Ryan Buckler into the game. Ulloa, first pitch swinging, draws LaRue deep into the 5-6 hole. The throw in the dirt in time to Millen. How about the range by Brando LaRue? He threw that from the grass and still got it to Millen in time.
LaRue's been primarily a shortstop here at FAU throughout his career. What a play. I mean, those are the plays that you just look and you have to tip your cap off to, because not much you could do there if you're Alex Ulloa. Just got to run as fast as you can, try to beat it out, and wasn't able to do that there tonight.
Alex has done that to plenty of hitters on the other end. And now he'll head back to the dugout, and Mark Hirsch will watch strike one from Ryan Buckler, making his second appearance of the year against these Panthers. When a third of an inning last time, did concede a hit.
And if you're FIU, you need some sort of spark to get it going here.
That might just do it. It's right up the middle for a base hit. Mark's first today.
The broadcaster's jinx may have worked here.
the other direction.
We'll take it.
The jinx you're happy about sends Hirsch to first base.
Center fielder.
And Albert Serrano gets the chance to hit for the Panthers. Serrano got a walk back in the third. And now he will watch one dip underneath the zone for ball one. 5-1 the lead for Florida Atlantic here in the seventh. Panthers getting ready to head to Dallas following this one. The Owls, as that's fired in for strike one, will head to New Orleans. Tulane awaits an AAC play for FAU.
That's a really good Tulane team. Always one of the best in the American.
Yep. That is largely true of Tulane's athletic department. They do a lot of good things. It's very similar to FIU, right? It's a city that you want to be in, and that will immediately attract a ton of high-level recruits.
Exactly. I mean, for FIU, you're in a hotbed of every sport. Every sport, when you always say who has the best best recruits of this sport, it's almost always Florida.
Baseball and football in particular. So you get to be in the driver's seat by virtue of being in Miami.
And even basketball recently with the Boozer twins.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, that's a little different. Back in my day, as I hop on my old man horse, it wasn't like that. As that skips in the dirt, allows Hirsch to get all the way to second. Mark even thought about the wide turn. LaPointe kind of casual in getting back to the baseball after it took the nasty skip, but Serrano swung at it. So it goes down as strike three, and it will be Kade Valentin coming up.
Surprised we're not maybe seeing a pinch hit here with Valentin, because at this point, 2 outs. He's been struggling. I know he had a hit, but you've got some big bats on that bench, and you may as well try to use one to see if you can get something going here with Hirsch in scoring position.
Combination of what have you done for me recently? Kade got a hit as he watches strike one. And that's the point of these midweeks, right? You want guys to get reps, especially because Gade's probably playing once again against DBU. So you hope he can get right, build together a little multi-hit game, headed out to Dallas as he sends that one just over the net, fouling out of play behind the plate. Two good food cities coming up for each team.
Yeah.
Dallas and New Orleans.
Great barbecue.
No balls, 2 strikes here against Valentin. Becomes 1-2. Fun fact, Dallas, of all the major metros in Texas, actually has the worst barbecue of the bunch.
Wow.
It's not bad. I'm not telling you it's bad. But Austin is the best, then Houston, then Dallas.
Well, lucky for FIU football, they have to go to Houston this year.
Yep.
So go to play in that MLS stadium for against Sam Houston.
1-2, stays right where it is, as that's foul over the hill here at FAU Baseball Stadium. Hey, a trip to Huntsville.
Trip to Huntsville turned into a trip to Houston.
Right.
Because as they're doing renovations.
Yeah, I guess you don't even go to Huntsville at
You
that
don't.
point.
No, you go straight to Houston.
Because they obviously fly into Houston.
Yep, and you just stay right there.
Usually stay there the night before.
You just travel right through.
When the Panthers went there a couple years ago and won, was obviously in Huntsville,
Yep.
the normal spot. But yeah, you're right. There is no Huntsville trip. It's just a Houston trip.
Hey, you'll take that.
Makes for an easier commute. Panthers very happy about that on the football side. No trips all the way out west. Got him looking here. Ryan Buckler ends the frame with back-to-back Ks, one swinging, one looking. And it remains 5-1, Florida Atlantic. Time to stretch it out here in Boca. Panthers want to keep this thing a 4-run game.
Please stand up with along to the timeless lyrics to the ball game.
What? You want a spot?
Bottom 7. Bryce Turner beginning his first full inning of work for the Panthers. He'll face 2, 3, 4, Martinez, Schroeder, and LaRue scheduled to hit for Florida Atlantic, with the Owls leading at 5-1.
You know, I made the joke, after the inning, but shout out to FIU tennis.
Sent straight back. A three-peat in Conference USA. And funny, right, as we talk about the major metros in Dallas, I did not include El Paso, nor did I include Lubbock.
I don't blame you.
Which is where tennis will be headed. Goes straight back to make it 0-2, so a huge congrats to them. Beach volleyball doing their thing. Golf wound up with a top 3 finish in CUSAs. So an exciting conclusion to the spring slate. We'll also see baseball, of course, off that elite week last week, looking to continue to garner momentum headed into the Conference USA tournament.
that's turned into an expectation for FIU making that tournament because, as we all know, not everyone makes the tournament. But after once again making it for the first time in a while, I think since 2018, now that's the expectation for this team. And
No question.
they went pretty deep into it too, for what it's worth. They beat Western Kentucky. About that. And you go and unfortunately some DBUs. So a little bit of a revenge series for FIU, knowing what they did to them in the tournament. So, yeah, now it's an expectation. Hopefully FIU athletics finishes off the spring semester or the athletic season with a bang.
Yeah. Ball 3 into John Martinez. Hurst tried to sell it as strike 3. Up the middle, slow roller to Ulloa at second. He charges strong and makes the play. The range of Alex Ulloa translates through the middle infield.
Mark Hirsch got me too. I thought that was strike 3 as well. That's why I stopped talking all of a sudden. Like, oh, okay, well, alrighty. Bryce Turner getting another nice strike out there, but
begins with a 4-3 ground out instead. 1 pitch later, it counts the same, and the Owls look to Schroeder.
Ulloa is someone who has such a strong arm and is an awesome defensive player at second. Shortstop, it's been such on and off with him. And the one thing the coaching staff mentions a lot is just how athletic he is, but how he makes the tough plays look easy, and the easy ones sometimes just look a little tough. And maybe it just speeds him up a little too much. The game speeds up for him a little bit too much could be the case. And I think just with time, that could really change for him because, I mean, we've seen it. He's made some awesome plays over there. I'm sure he'll be back at shortstop at one point. He had been the shortstop for FIU ever since he got here, up until 2 weeks ago maybe.
Has been immensely comfortable at second. We asked him about it following one of the wins. He said, I'm a baseball player. You can put me wherever you want. Of course, does he take pride in that shortstop spot? Yes, a lot of guys do.
Everyone does, yes. I mean, you kind of feel like, look at the names that have been at shortstop in baseball history itself.
Correct. But that said, very much the team player, comes over to second and has been literally perfect at the second base spot.
100%.
Panthers will shift it over. And the foul tip sails over the head of Mark Hirsch.
Looks like there's some action in that FIU bullpen. So looks like Turner will not be the final pitcher to throw for FIU tonight. Maybe we get 2 more pitches out there, honestly, at this point.
Lifted into the waiting glove of Hector Candelas in right. Sits up in plenty of time, and it's 2 quick outs for Bryce Turner.
Number 5, Brando LaRue.
Up to Brando LaRue to try and extend this. Florida Atlantic has not been retired 1, 2, 3 since the 4th inning. Bryce Turner's got 2 quick outs.
And one thing about this FIU team that I've enjoyed so much this season is just their dugout energy. And the coaching staff, too. They keep these guys as energetic as possible, and the coaching staff is still energetic. They never know they always feel like they're never out of it. And that's been, and you never know. FIU's made some pretty great comebacks last season, this season. Walked it off a couple times. Obviously can't walk it off here tonight, but, you know, they've been, it's been a fun team. They're very close. I think this is a really close team, and that's been the case. That was a big issue towards the end of the last regime, and I think with Witten and what he's been able to implement into this program, it's been impressive, and he's making sure that leadership and having team plays fit.
Well, Knuckler off the bat. It's dropped by Turner. Couldn't quite regather it in time. It's that in-between spot. Turner gets off the hill quickly, but it just gets away, and LaRue does reach to extend the frame. Still 2 outs, and the Owls will send Jake Millen up.
Second time an FIU pitcher just bobbles that right there. And I know with Dietrich it's a little bit different. I was looking for you guys to react a lot quicker to this one, and Turner's a pretty big guy, so that's where PFPs really need to come into play, and unfortunately it just didn't happen there.
Largely, it's been really good this year for FIU in that regard.
Agreed, yep.
But a couple of E1s here on the road. So with the same caveat we gave last time, if it's going to happen, better here than in Dallas.
3 errors, though. I never want to see that, and I know FIU's had a couple of those games this season.
It was a point of emphasis in the offseason to shore up the infield defense. And that mission has largely been accomplished with the addition of guys like Gade Valentin, who's now playing short. And Javi Crespo very much boosting those numbers as well. 2-0 count, by the way, to Jake Millen. 5-1 the lead for Florida Atlantic here in the bottom of the 7th. Crespo getting the day off today. 2-0. Swung right through by Millen to make it 2-1. There's a little parting shot at Lubbock there from Kevin Barral when I said I didn't include it as a major metro, and you said, I don't blame you. I don't know, what's your beef with Lubbock?
I think it's not Lubbock more than El Paso.
Okay. So 3-1 count as that sails outside. I like El Paso for what it is.
I've heard it's nice.
I like El Paso. It is a good food city. I would say, on balance, if you're ranking CUSA teams as food cities, and we're discounting Miami because it's clearly the best one, I think El Paso's number 2.
Okay.
3-1. Swung right through to make it 3-2. The Mexican food, as one would expect, lives up to the billing in El Paso.
I've heard Louisiana Tech is really good.
That is number 3.
Okay.
Now, and the only reason I wouldn't put it 2 is because it's some of the cities around Ruston where you get the really good stuff. 3-2, right through. Bryce Turner ends this inning with a strikeout. That's exactly how his day began, and now maybe wraps up. We'll see. First things first, Panthers look to the offense. 5-1, FAU leads it with 7 complete.
Your attention, please. 15th change for FAU. On the mat for the right fielder, number 13, Andrew. And his pitcher for the Owls.
Yeah, no doubt.
Third baseman,
Steven Andrews comes in, and now both teams probably going to drift a little more towards familiar territory. Steven Andrews has already thrown an inning and a third against FIU this year. Did give up a couple of runs, so let's see what happens here as it's strike 1 into Adonis Velez. 9-1-2 for FIU, trailing 5-1 here in the 8th.
I would hope Billy Gill appreciates this, but now is when we need to see what's their food rankings for you. You've been to, I want to say, almost every single city.
Quickly 0-2. Did not make the trip to Kennesaw, but have been to Atlanta plenty of times, so we can probably do the math there. So again, Miami's number 1, El Paso's number 2. The Ruston area is number 3, with my favorite actual individual restaurant falling in the La Tech footprint. We got some amazing Cajun food as that sails just outside, so 1 ball, 2 strikes. After the top 3, hold on, let me pull up the CUSA standings here. I guess I'll go baseball and include Dallas, which I've been to. Dallas is a good food city. It's not Austin, but it's a good food city. Right through it. Adonis Velez down swinging. Stephen Andrews' day begins with a K. All right, let's see. Bowling Green is fine. They've got a neat little downtown area. It's got a bunch of different options. So I would say it's kind of your jack of all trades, master of none at WKU. Never eaten in Las Cruces, so I can't speak to NMSU because we always stay in El Paso and drive over. But it is an elite press box spread at NMSU football, so you got to give them that. Did not go to Jacksonville, Alabama.
We did stay in Birmingham for that. I had the pleasure of
There you go.
We stayed in Birmingham. We stayed pretty far from the downtown area, so it was a little tough to get there. But the hotel we stayed at had some really great food.
There you
had
go.
a nice little restaurant down there.
Hotel.
So,
we're judging hotel food.
and we had some great Chick-fil-A at the press box.
There you go. 1-1 to Hector Candelas.
But I will say this. If we had stayed in Jack State, I do think it would have been pretty good food from my understanding. Some really nice spots.
Yep.
So maybe next year.
There's actually a barbecue place that I've heard is very good in Jacksonville, AL. So
I have heard that as well.
we'll have to keep an eye out for that next time around. Little looper steered into left. It gets down just in front of Schroeder. Hector Candelas goes a little oppo flare and a one-out base runner for the Panthers.
And you're looking at an awesome opportunity here for FIU with Kashawn Fred up, a guy who this FIU lineup has seen, as you noted. So, I mean, you can't ask for a better matchup at this point for FIU. Hopefully, it looks like what it did a couple innings back.
Down 5-1. Panthers will look to their power source. 6 total bases on 2 swings, a home run and a double already for Kashawn Fred. Candelas at first. Strike 1 into Kashawn Fred. Just to conclude it, Lynchburg offers not a whole lot. And MTSU is just outside Nashville, which means you get some Nashville hot chicken on your way to Murfreesboro.
What's up with Huntsville? Oh, well, I guess it's Houston.
Houston. Good barbecue. Second best in Texas, behind only Austin.
There we go.
Beautiful breaking ball from Stephen Andrews. Falls right off the table and gets Kashawn Fred down 0-2.
And for Fred, obviously, not just Fred, any hitter. You don't want to see yourself in a pitcher's count right here, but for some reason, he really battles through these. And not for some reason, it's just a really good approach sometimes from Fred. So
right back to the curve, and it works perfectly. Stephen Andrews has his second K today. Austin Deering, the final hope here in the 8th with Candelas at first. Of course, the newcomers joining functionally here in about a month, Delaware and Missouri State. I have no idea of the Delaware food status, and Springfield MO is unfortunately further from Kansas City than I first thought.
hey, we'll get to try that this year.
Strike 1 in to Austin Deering. Kansas City is maybe the best food city, especially if you're into barbecue, which I very much am. Kansas City rocks.
How far is Kansas City?
It's about 3 hours.
Wow. All right, so I thought he's definitely not making that bus ride.
Not close. Deering swings through to make it 0-2. The other thing I was told to keep an eye on is when FIU heads to Penn State, apparently there's a very good ice cream place up in College Park.
All right.
So we'll have to check that out.
Indeed.
As the Panthers have a Week 2 date with the Nittany Lions of Penn State, quite possibly the most talented football team in America.
That would have been awesome to see that.
Now looking, Stephen Andrews has struck out the side. Hector Candelas, the single to disrupt it. But this Florida Atlantic pitching staff doing a phenomenal job here in the midweek. FAU's off to the insurance market in the bottom of the 8th, leading 5-1.
Choice Mortgage, Coca-Cola, Corona, Dunkin', and Demand the Limits. Your attention, please. Pitching change for FIU. Number 42. Tucker, the new pitcher for the Panthers. Leading off the bottom half of the Asian Sport FIU. Your catcher, number 6, Dylan LaPointe.
Dylan LaPointe goes to the leadoff spot, the sixth man for Florida Atlantic. 6'7", 8" for FAU. Shane Tucker going to come into the game for FIU. 2 1/3 on the year, 4 Ks to 1 walk. And he'll start it with ball 1.
Yeah, he's been a solid pitcher for, the moments he has come in. I don't want to say mop-up duty, but it certainly almost has been like that. Made the 2 appearances against FGCU. First game against FGCU as well was out there, and then Bethune-Cookman them.
Comes right back with strike 1.
And he'll probably take it all the way for FIU here. No action in their bullpen. No need to have some action in the bullpen. Conserve what you have left for the conference slate. Those are the guys you will put on that Conference USA roster.
27 guys get to make the trip out to Dallas this weekend. Dallas, Coral Gables, and at home against Liberty. The next trio for FIU.
And for the first time in a while, they're finishing the season on the road, a regular season on the road at Sam Houston.
That's right up a shoot. Lifted right towards us. And never quite even got that far. Good job to hold on by Mark Hirsch.
I thought that was going in here, up in the stand.
I thought for sure it was coming right towards us, and it just kept going up and up and up, and, well, then right down into the glove of Mark Hirsch.
Great catch.
Doesn't bounce off the net, stays clear of that. And Mark Hirsch does a nice job to adjust to it and make the play. So down goes LaPointe. And Nick Romano comes up for Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, these are the moments for Hirsch, why we play these midweeks. For someone like him to get in there, get some reps behind the plate, and even offensively. This is a guy who they're extremely high on.
Started 4 different catchers. But that's the case for FIU.
That's a position that they did not have that depth at maybe 2 years ago.
Or Rich Witten took the job here in Miami. He didn't have a single catcher on the roster.
And a lot of catchers, former catchers on the coaching staff too. I believe Witten being one of them. Geralman was a catcher, Chris Beck is a catcher. So they have catching experience to a lot of that on
One
the
of those
coaching
spots that translates to coaching, right? Because you see the game,
Exactly.
the whole thing. You kind of have to be in pitching, hitting, defense, all of it. Shane Tucker has his first K today.
Designated hitter, number 4.
Joey Slattery will get his first regularly scheduled at-bat after being the pinch hitter back in the 6th. Panthers get the heart of their order in the 9th. Tucker's retired 2 to start his day and comes right back with strike 1. Slattery swings right through it.
Now, what's the best CUSA city?
Overall,
Your call.
again,
However
we're
you wanna,
discounting Miami because that's my obvious number 1, and I promise
Exactly.
you I'm not even being a homer. I just love where I grew up.
this is the best city in CUSA.
Best city in America, 0-2. Am I allowed to include the grander metro area? Because I love Nashville.
I feel
But
like you
Nashville
have
is
to,
not
right? 'Cause
Murfreesboro.
it's where you stay. I think that's the fair assumption to make.
Got him again. Shane Tucker providing Slattery with some trouble with the curve. 1, 2, 3 for Shane Tucker, including back-to-back Ks to close it. Panthers need 4, top 9.
Fans join us next Tuesday, May 6th, against Florida Gulf Coast University. First pitch is set for 6:30 p.m. To purchase tickets, visit FAUtickets.com. Your attention, please. Pitching change for FAU. On the mound, right-hander number 32, Carter Holgis. Holgis, the new pitcher for the Owls. Designated hitter, number 30, Andrew Boca.
Top of the 9th. Panthers do get the big boppers to bear. Andrew Ildefonso will hit lead off. The new pitcher is Carter Holgis, making his 3rd appearance against FIU. He's already thrown an inning and a third against the Panthers. He'll start it out with strike 1. Overall numbers for Holgis, 1-2 record, 18 and a third innings pitched, 21 strikeouts, up against just 7 walks. Good for a 3.44 ERA. 5-6 hole, and it gets through. Andrew Ildefonso with the family in attendance, a base knock.
Well, that's the start you need if you're FIU. And as you mentioned, the big boppers. You got Alex Ulloa coming up right here, who can really get it going for this FIU team if you get the right pitch. And as you mentioned, I mean, this is a guy who, you know, is going to attack the strike zone. So not going to walk many guys. And FIU has some action there in the bullpen as well. I believe that's Villarreal, I want to say, just in case. It
Would be online to close a tight game in the 9th, which if there is an FIU pitcher needed, it is by virtue of getting there a close game in the 9th. So it makes sense.
And
0-1.
Cole Cleveland's on deck, too.
Ulloa gets the true slow roller in between pitch and third, and the throw from Holgis gets away. Ildefonso gets to third, Ulloa gets to second. The Panthers have 2 in prime position, and the first FAU miscue might just be giving a little life to the Panthers.
And look who's on deck, Corey. We've been talking about him a little bit throughout the game. And FIU starting to empty out the bench here is what they're doing, trying to put out some big boppers in the line, keep that trend going.
Cole
That should be scored as a base knock for Ulloa because he put it in no man's land. Then the error gets 2 in prime position. And sure enough, Cole Cleveland, the pinch hitter for FIU.
Ryan Hunter on deck, and in the hole, it looks like it's Sebastian Barrios. So some new faces that this FAU pitching staff hadn't seen throughout the night.
Right.
Now, something that FIU's done a lot throughout the season, it's really worked as well. Some really good at-bats from those type of guys who come in and pinch hitting late, as we saw on Sunday.
CC goes after the first pitch to make it strike 1. Cole Cleveland currently riding a 6-game hitting streak, including a 2-for-3 finale against Western Kentucky. Also notched his first triple last week. 1 ball, 1 strike for CC.
And if he gets on, you have the speed too. I mean, this guy's extremely fast, so you're going to definitely get some action on the base paths. And Ulloa too, he's a really quick guy. Obviously impossible to do a double steal here, but
those are the 2 steals kings for the Panthers. Cleveland sends it sky high into right center. It sits in the glove of Lipsy. Ildefonso will score, throw is cut, Ulloa to third. Cleveland willing and able to do the job. His sac fly gets the Panthers their 2nd run, but a run for an out is a trade that Florida Atlantic is willing to make at this point.
Pitching FIU, number 35, Ryan.
Then we see Ryan Hunter, who did score a run against Western Kentucky. Now he'll pick up the bat and go to work.
and that's another guy who provides a lot of speed for FIU. Hasn't had many opportunities when it comes to actual success, but a lot of pinch hit appearances. Actually, I don't think he's actually started it. He's actually started 2 games so far for FIU, so we'll see how this goes for Hunter. Just hoping he works a pretty good at bat, maybe get on base via walk.
That's what he's done best so far to this point.
Yeah. 2 walks so far, 3 walks for Hunter.
3 walks, on basing over 400, 429 to be exact. But he is down 0-2 here. Top 9, Panthers trying to mount the comeback, down 5-2. Ulloa at third. Hunter watching. So 1 ball, 2 strikes for Ryan Hunter.
And I love what Cole Cleveland's doing here, talking to another freshman, Sebastian Barrios, who's on deck for FIU, just trying to give him the rundown of what he just saw.
One ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, sent straight back by Ryan Hunter.
It's like FIU always finds themselves in these type of games.
Yeah.
All of a sudden in the 9th inning, feel like it's over. They're getting something going here a little bit.
Never counted out. 1-2 one more time becomes 2-2. You think back to that Marist comeback. That was just absurd, but basically since Coach Witten and this staff have come to Miami, a game is never over. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, top 9, Panthers down 3. Carter Holgis toes the slab, comes home to Ryan Hunter, and Holgis gets his first K today. Panthers down to their final out. And it will all be up to Sebastian Barrios. His last at-bat against the Blue Raiders of MTSU on March 28th.
Barrios has always put up some really fun at-bats, and he's a guy who's gotten already hit by a pitch twice. He's walked 4 times, and he's yet to get his first collegiate hit. So he's been a guy who's really stepped into some certain situations for FIU, especially early on in the season, late in the game. A guy who's going to be what they describe as a major contact hitter. So good bat to ball guy who's going to get the ball on both sides of the gap, see if he can get something going here for FIU. But coming down to the final out here. 4
walks and 6 recorded at-bats. Down 0-2 here, though. Takes the first, swings through the second, and Carter Holgis has the Panthers down to their final strike. Oh, and 2 from Holgis becomes 1-2. Certainly seems like this rendition of the series will belong to Florida Atlantic. But the Panthers lost their first game of the week last week too, and then rattled off 4 bona fide elite wins. 1-2 sent straight back.
Man, if Barrios does end up getting on base, you have the top of the order coming up for FIU with Candelas, you have Brett, and so on and so forth. So hopefully this goes FIU's way right here.
Kyle Kaler is the one on deck. He would take the 9 spot. 1-2 from Holgis. Swung right through. Holgis comes in to slam the door. It winds up 3 runs of separation on the Cole Cleveland sac fly, but Florida Atlantic will get the win. FAU playing good baseball despite a couple of injuries that have marred some of their recent success. This is a really good FAU team, so you tip your cap, and the Panthers will get ready to head for a huge trip to Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, definitely a tough one here in Boca Raton. FIU now drops at home and onto, I guess, bigger baseball to play in the conference now with TBU, Liberty, and you still have to go to Sam Houston. So, you know, as tough as this was, there was a lot of good things as well for this FIU team, getting on base a lot. They still put up some big hits, and obviously Deshaun Fred with that 18th home run of the season.
He'll continue his good year, and the majority of the runs, over half, scoring on outs. So it was just kind of a manufacturing type day for Florida Atlantic. Didn't hit the ball exceptionally hard throughout the game, but they did enough. That's the game of baseball sometimes. So they get the 5-2 win, and they will head to New Orleans off a dub. For my broadcast partner, Kevin Barral, and our entire team here in Miami, I'm Corey Burke. Certainly hope you'll join us in Coral Gables. Myself and Billy Gill will have you covered from the home of the Hurricanes before we wrap things up at the FIU Baseball Stadium against Liberty.